Good afternoon and welcome to our third AMA or Ask Me Anything. I'm Kangshi and I'm the moderator of this session and I'm a member of the Pet Chef team. This is a partnership with Thinkly. Today we have Aditya Patil with us. He is a professional dog trainer. Thank you for being with us today and thank you for taking the time out.
Hello. Hi. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Okay, so let's begin. So you've been a dog trainer for almost a decade, 7 years, you
Yeah.
told me. Tell us what made you decide to become a dog trainer because I know that's a really fun story.
Yeah. So the thing is, for any change in animal world, you just require that one animal to be giving you love, and that's the entire base of the story. It was always this one dog. It was always this one dog who made me interested in what do dogs think. Yeah. What do they feel? What do they have in processing of emotions and stuff? That is when it all changed for me. The thing is, we were connected to animals since our second generation, third generation. My father, my grandfather, they were still connected to animals. So I was always into wildlife. I was never into dogs as a fascination towards their behavior and stuff. But then my dog came in. I had a cute little Dachshund. It was all hyped up breed, so I had a Dachshund breed. And then for some reason, certain incidents occurred out, and I was in very dilemma, very much good. You can say pretty good intensity of confusion that I lost my sleeps at night. That why is my dog behaving in a certain way? And that is when it just made me shift into this to solve out all the issues.
Tell us about your father and grandfather. How were they
So,
connected to animals?
so the thing is, my grandfather was a local rescuer for reptiles and stuff. Being a wildlife enthusiast, he used to, all those snakes stuff who enter into house premise, are stuck in cars and stuff. So he used to rescue them, release them, etc., etc. And in quite in childhood, uh, we were always made exposed to the reptiles itself. He used to show us in one jar when obviously the law allowed it to keep it inside house, not after that. So it was the fascination towards animals was always there, was pretty much there between my generations and family itself.
That's nice. So now we figure out what got you interested. And
Yeah,
you're certified, correct?
yeah, I'm certified.
So tell us what did you do? What was that journey?
So when I decided to get into this emotion and everything, and I saw that there is no actual concrete syllabus in Indian market for now. There is no actual concrete syllabus to learn any animal psychology apart from those clinical degrees itself. And obviously, being at 24, 25, you cannot simply just get into another set of degrees and put in another 3 years. So yeah, I got into touch with this university, North Carolina University, the Duke University, the name of the university, and they had a curriculum which is very suitable to learning animal psychology first, and then handling methods and training methods. So I found that quite amazing, quite mesmerizing because that gives you a depth into what. So eventually, you have an animal in your house, right? A dog is an animal. It's a pet.
Correct.
It's a domesticated pet, but it's an animal. It has its own way of processing, own way of thinking. So
Mhm.
I figured that the problems that I face are pretty much going to be solved by learning psychology first, then the training methods, and then the application. So that's how the entire curriculum of them is also designed. But again, yeah, the proper handling, you need to have a physical experience. You need to actually start getting out, start putting your word out after the debut.
Okay. Then what are your training methods and what is the philosophy that you follow?
Uh, Now this is a bit of a complex or a very simplistic statement. Can be anyhow
Okay.
as you perceive. Okay. So there is no philosophy in animal. There is
Okay.
literally no philosophy in animal training. As long as you don't harm an animal physically or mentally, whatever methods you're using are prescribed and are suitable, itself, right? So, my philosophy is I observed this is a very funny one. Okay, so now the Indian society parents have this very distinct differentiation that they will consider their dogs as kids also, right?
Yes.
They will deny to consider their dogs as dog. It's a love, right? Nobody can deny that. It's love. But then the thing is, lot of number of cases of reactivity occurs out when there is imbalance. So the philosophy I follow is, if you want your dogs to be kids, teach them how exactly you will teach their kids. So if your kids go to school, please send your dogs to school as well.
Which school?
A training school, get a trainer, get a teacher, understand how they are. Do some homework with your dog, exercise with your dog, teach some commands, or else consider them as animals and treat them like it. So it cannot
Okay,
be a
fair
complex
enough.
mixture of two.
Fair enough. That's pretty fair.
Yeah.
So that brings us to our next questions. What have been your insights or observation having been in the industry for so long? And is there something unique about Indian pet parents?
Uh, um, See, being in this industry, it's a everyday new learning about dogs itself, because it's an enormous possibilities of learning with dogs, right? Because their IQ keeps on increasing as much as you expose them. So lot of new learnings and things have come up where we can now understand that dogs actually understand our language, etc., etc. Some words, associations. They are able to differentiate between shapes, sizes, texture, all of these things. It's an amazing information to understand that the thing that you have in your house is actually far more way intelligent than you are. So that's a quite amazing thing that I learned. And specifically about Indian pet parents, they are amazing to understand their dogs. They are literally amazing. They'll understand their dogs on emotional perspective. They'll understand their dogs on breed perspective. Even as a kind of, I have seen certain households who respect a dog basis on the sole purpose of it. So that's also one way of looking. Like Indian pet parents, they do understand their dogs quite a lot, quite good. Now, certain methods, maybe, yeah, certain perceiving, what you can say, applications of actually communicating with the dog. Thoda gadbad, there might be some issues with that. That is where I come in picture. That is where I teach them how to exactly.
So that has been my observation as well, talking to a lot of pet parents. They are more nuanced. There is more information. They know what to feed the dog. They know how to soothe the dog.
They
There is
are
it's
amazing.
amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
It,
And this quite, matlab, I have interacted with pet parents who are abroad as well, because we work for adoptions and stuff even abroad. So there is a quite a bit of you cannot say confusion. It's more towards, they are not aware of, if an indie breed or a survival breed goes to a different country. So those country people are not quite aware of
Mhm.
what exactly to feed, how to take care, what is the proper appropriate room temperature. But apart from those, if you see Indian pet parents, whichever breed you get, they are always prepared. They are always ready. What is the breed? What is the requirement? What food? What is the allergy? What should be kept away? How to teach the dog? They are always aware of that.
I know but it's so lovely to see everyone has their own love language with their
Yeah.
dog. Hmm. So next, how do you make learning fun for both dogs and their pet parents?
Okay, so if I have to give you in technical terms, a dog can be trained with fully focus on you for hardly 20 minutes, right? Anything exceeds to that, it becomes either boring for the dog or it becomes overstimulating for the dog. They will either go in exhaustion mode or they will go in zoomies, right? It's either two possibilities. So coming back, coming back to the main again question of it. Um, just a second. I'm just getting someone on the door. He's just not stopping knocking. Just a second for it. I'm so sorry.
No worries. Look at some questions.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
No
The
stress.
question was, sorry. Yeah, can you tell me just the
How do
question,
you
please?
make learning fun for both pet
Yeah.
parents and
So
dogs?
remaining part of it, the remaining timeline of it, introduce play with your dogs, because dogs, they love to play. There is nothing in the world that can make them do. There are some dogs who won't even look out for treats, who won't even look out for high value treats. But you show them a ball and they go crazy bizarre. So introduce play in your training routine. Introduce play in between breaks that you give for the training routine. That's how you make it fun for even you as well as the dog.
Yeah, because exercise is not just for running around or
Exercise
physical
should be
exercise. It has
fun.
to be
Everything
mental.
around dogs should be fun.
Yeah, and it should be mentally stimulating as well. So we have a couple of questions coming in live. There is Arman who says, "Hey Aditya, I'm really curious about your journey into dog training. Was there a specific moment or experience that made you decide to specialize in understanding canine cognition and emotion?"
So yeah, again, the story goes back to my dog coming in picture. So I was actually very scared of dogs, and that's very surprising. Being into the animal world already, I was pretty much scared of dogs, like literally to the level where so Tucker came into house as a 3 month, 4 month puppy, and he started his own regular barking, alarming barking when I entered the house, and I was pretty much scared. I literally just threw my shirt towards him and told him to smell that, not to come near. So that was the level of fear that I had for dogs. But then again, growing up with him, nurturing him, it made me bond with him. There's certain incident occur out, and he gave a negative reaction towards me itself in terms of lunging at. And that is when it clicked me ki why has this occurred out? Why what mistake did I make for my dog to become like this? Because I knew one basic principle. Animals are always right. They are always going to do what they feel is right. So if that is the case, that means I did something wrong. And for me to understand what I did wrong, I wanted to know how they think. So that's how I went for the psychology part and training part.
That's fascinating. You were scared of dogs, and then now
Yeah,
how the tables have
I'm
turned, and
pretty
now
much
you're
scared of
training them. Now, Alicia is asking, given your
dogs.
impressive array of certifications, I'm intrigued to know what's been the most eye-opening or surprising revelation about canine cognition that you've encountered during your studies at Duke University.
Okay, so she would want to know any research that was occurred out, or she would want to know the observation that I did.
Probably as my observations, I guess.
Okay, so there were few research which were conducted there. Basically, the research was now this is a funny tagline that I use. Dogs can teach dogs what humans cannot teach dogs. So just based on that incident, I so there are cocker spaniels around. Okay, so we are in an open field. There are cocker spaniels around who are simply just roaming out. There is a water body around, and one cocker spaniel has a fascination towards chasing stones. If you throw stones, not the ball. Okay, he does not have a fascination towards the ball. So if you throw a stone, the dog is going to go chase it, grab it. So we are kind of looking how the prey drive is working, etc., etc. We're kind of judging that. So eventually the stone rolls into water, and the dog is willing and wanting to go. The dog is whining for help, obviously to get the attention of that. I need that stone anyhow. But what did we do is instead of going towards the dog and helping the dog, we tried to motivate the dog by giving those high pitch. Okay, okay, let's go, come on, and all of those. The moment we motivated the dog quickly learned something new. That dog specifically learned to stop his breath, go underwater, grab a stone, come out.
Wow.
And within few minutes, another cocker spaniel, just watching this dog, did the same thing and started doing the same. So again, dogs can teach dogs what humans cannot teach dogs.
That's a good that's I'm gonna write that down. Yeah.
Yeah.
So next, then what should new dog parents make a note of when getting a new pet? Any specific behaviors to look out
Um,
for?
Okay, so if you ask me in terms of behavior or in terms of identification, what do you need to work? Because obviously you're getting a pet home, you are going to work, right? It's not like your pet is going to come in and you're going to sit and relax. Like there will be work required for the dog, right? So there are usually four parameters that you can actually see where the work is needed in terms of behavior part or in terms of you can consider a personality or a temperament of the dog, right? So the very first thing is always see how he reacts to your touch in terms of if you get your puppy on your lap facing upwards, does your puppy squirm and want to go away, or he sits and becomes completely cozy? If he becomes completely cozy, he's good to the touch part also. The touch triggers are no more triggers, so that's a good thing. Second parameters is to check for ears. How does a puppy react to loud sounds, sudden sounds, spooky sounds? If the puppy gets spooked out, that's okay. That's a normal, usual reaction. But उसके बाद क्या? What after that? If a puppy is going to investigate the sound of the source of the sound, amazing, good. If the puppy is hiding away, running, that means you need to use a lot of positive reinforcement around these triggers, right? Then next comes the food drive or the pay drive. Anything that makes the dog follow or chase, you need to simply just look out for that. For example, have some treats in your hand in a closed feed. Obviously, a dog is going to smell it. A puppy is also going to smell it. See for how long they are able to follow your hand around. That is going to tell you how much confidence this dog has. If the dog gives up within 10-15 seconds, then that's the work required. You will have to create a work around food right there. So again, some puppies are food motivated, some puppies are toys motivated. Yeah, फिर prey drive, which is kind of high in them compared to the food drive. So you can look out for both food as well as toys. Whichever drive you find low or less, you need to work around that. That means if the puppy has low food drive, you need to work with a lot of treat trainings, lot of positive reinforcement. If a puppy has a lot of prey drives, then you need to work something with those toys that they can chase. Obviously, it's a positive reinforcement for them, but you're not using any food. You're using the toy as a remote.
Okay,
So
understood.
all these parameters, these three parameters, you can check for a behavior whenever you get a new puppy in your dog. And the second concept which we usually advise pet parents is the concept of 333. It takes about 3 days for your dog to figure out your place. Obviously, puppy might take it a more number of days, but an adult dog usually takes 3 days. 3 weeks is where a dog is going to understand your routine with respect to the dog. And the 3 month span is where the dog starts making an association to your house as his house, you as an entire pack. Um, all these attributes of trust, respect, boundaries around food. Some people have boundaries on sofas. How to understand boundaries? What are the boundaries? It takes about a 3 month span. So this is kind of a concept which pet parents can be aware of, the concept of 333, because I see a lot of pet parents getting frustrated out of the work which they might have to put in for their dog,
Hmm.
because it's just hardly 3 days and the dog is not sleeping. Yeah, it's hardly 4 days and the dog is already pooping all over the place. And then these puppies, unfortunately, are the ones who get abandoned either to a new house or to a foster house again. So it's always better to have these concepts reach out to the pet parents.
So always, you have to be patient. Your dog
Patience,
will take time,
patience,
but you
time and
just need to
patience.
be patient. Some dogs, like kids, some dogs adapt fast, and some
Yeah,
dogs take a little time. So you just have to
yeah.
be patient. Very good. Then Fahad is asking, I imagine you've come across some interesting situation in these years of dog training. What are some common misunderstandings about dog behavior and communication that you find people often have? How do you usually go about clearing up these misconceptions? This was I was going to ask you this question as well. This is a good one.
Okay, okay. So the common misconceptions regarding behavior aspect of it.
Yes, say for, like the example that I gave you, that somebody, if a dog jumps on you, that's not necessarily aggressive behavior.
So the same thing. But again, maximum number of time a dog or a myth comes into picture if a dog reacts. If a dog does not react, there is no incident, there is no misconception, nothing. So again, coming back to the main part of it, first misconception is if a dog's tail is tucked under between his bums, and that means the dog is scared. No, not necessarily the dog is scared. There are other parts of the body that you need to focus on. Position of the ears. What is the dog doing? Is he licking his lower lips too much? Is there stress in eyes? Is the body tensed? You need to look out for that as well, because see, confused dog or a nervous dog is also going to give you certain amount of same body language as a fearful, afraid dog. But there is a quite huge difference in it. A fearful dog is a dog who is going to go in frantic mode, who is going to maybe just by a touch of a leash, the dog might yelp, whine. You're doing nothing to the dog, but the state of mind is such that the dog has gone in frantic mode. That is a fearful dog. So not every dog that has a tail tucked under his bum area, it's afraid of fearful dog. No, it can be either a confused dog or a nervous dog, which you can work around. That's the
Okay.
major most cases that I get, because again there are fear aggressions, there are overstimulation aggressions which occur out. So these are the things that I deal pretty much daily. Second misconception is a dog who growls does not bite. That's a very big misconception. Uh, Growling, rather than considering it as an indication, consider it as communication. That would be rather more
Ah,
that would be rather more adaptable than to have prone accidents with the proverbs. So
that's
that's
nice.
another.
Yeah, so growling is a form of communication. It's not
Yeah.
necessarily.
And the very third, this thing can actually solve a lot of issues. Is a proper misconception known as assertive leadership is equal to screaming at your dog. No, like that does not what it means by being a leader. A lot of pet parents get it confused, and from suddenly a demeanor of them from being sit, can you sit, suddenly changes to sit, sit. And so that's not what we ask when we mean by a leader. Right? We mean to simply make you more patient, more calm, more perceiving towards how your dog is figuring things out, right? That is how a proper leader is. So that's a third misconception that I wanted to highlight. A leader is not someone who yells or screams at your dog or is more disciplined. No, a leader is something that takes things calmly, patiently. You need to teach your dogs, you need to have a lot of patience. Like, obviously it's a every dog is a different personality. You cannot expect the same rate of learning as a labrador to the same rate of learning as GSD. In fact, in between labradors as well, you cannot have it as the same thing, right? So you need to be calm and patient. So again, a leadership does not mean screaming and yelling. Leadership is being calm, being patient. So
Then
these
I'll
are the
take
three
you.
yeah, please
Oh,
go on.
sorry. I'm so sorry.
No, please go on, please go on. These are the three main misconceptions.
Jenny Matthew asks, are there specific vocal tones or sounds that can positively influence my pet's behavior?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Are there any specific vocal tones or sounds that can positively influence my pet's behavior?
Anything that gives out excitement. If I say no and my tonal pitch is turn, whereas I say no and I'm excited. Anything that gives out excitement, you say tomato, your dog is going to enjoy it. You say onion, your dog is going to enjoy it. Anything that gives out excitement is the most lovable thing for your dog, the most positive thing that you can do. Now, when we say good boy, it eventually has a tonal fluctuation of being happy and excited, which is why a
Hmm.
lot of people use good boy. But I have also said tomato, I have also said onion, I did that. It's just a tonal fluctuation of anything that can give out excitement or make them feel happy about it. I clap for my dogs if they perform good. So that's how it is.
So just
Excitement.
tone. Then Shantanu is asking, are there universal signals that apply to all pets, or do different species have distinct communication styles?
Every species is going to have a distinct communication style, 100%. But there are certain attributes that you on your end can have and understand. Just say, for example, domesticated pets as well as wildlife are going to have an attribute in their state of mind, which is known as freeze at a point. So that means either even in wildlife, even in domesticated pets, it just simply means I do not know how to react to this situation, but there is a danger present. I don't know how to react, so I'll freeze out. This is common in dogs as well as snakes as well as other species itself. Right? So there are certain attributes which are common, but those are not attributes. Though we cannot consider them as adjectives. Let's consider them as body language. Let's consider them as communication. So
Okay.
certain parts are going to be same, but certain you cannot. Matlab, again, yeah, there are 100 million species of it. Everybody has its own way of communication. Everybody has its own way of understanding and processing. So there are some things which are common, not everything.
Okay. This is my favorite question. Your favorite dog training story?
So this again gives a myth buster. Okay. So I was training a Himalayan Shepherd. I was training a Himalayan Shepherd who used to stay around in Mumbai, and he's a big dog. He's a huge dog. Okay. So if he stands up, he can easily reach up to a height of 6'2" or something. So I have to train him like this sometimes. So he is a pretty huge dog, but very well mannered, temperamental, very well good behave on walks. There is no leash pulling, nothing. Okay, nothing of that factor that can make anybody be afraid of him. Okay. So I was walking on a road one day, and we had certain people who were walking to us, but not focusing on us. They were having their phones up, and so there were two, three people, mixed genders, and the moment they reached 3 feet, 4 feet, they just screamed out of no reason. They literally just screamed. One guy fell on the road, one guy just started running, one guy just went mad screaming just by looking at the size of the dog. And that is when it tells me how size can manipulate behavior. That was the worst and the best reaction I could have to the size of the dog that I have seen in my entire training world or training career. That people are so engrossed in reacting to what they see rather than how they feel about it. So it's just that incident just gives me a laugh and chill every time I listen to that or every time I recall.
Is there a dog that you have trained that had experienced some trauma, and then you got him out of
Uh,
it?
yeah. Usually the maximum number of cases that I get are of the cases where a background is of trauma. There are certain triggers which come up later on, which might not come up in between the span of a 3 month old to 6 month old, but after that it starts coming up, which is why we suddenly see that pet parents give this information out that my dog has suddenly stopped walking, my dog does not want to go out of the house. So yeah, all of these things are present, and that's a kind of a daily thing. But one common thread that we can figure out in this is actual exposure.
Hmm.
May it be any trauma, may it be any trigger that has occurred out. If you start exposing your puppy, if you start giving socialization sessions to your puppy, since the puppy has entered your house, there is a very high possibility that the trauma factor or the trigger factor never comes up, because then the puppy is already confident enough at the age of 6 7 months that he knows what the routine is, he knows what the command is, he knows how to respond to communication. So there is a very less chance of the traumatic past to take over a learned behavior when you have exposed your puppy from a very less age or less number of age. In fact, the training starts the moment your dog enters your house. Yeah. It's just that where you train your dog differs. You cannot take your dog out until the shots are cleared, until all these vaccine shots are cleared, but you can still train your dog.
And always the number one thing: be kind. Be kind to animals. I think
Yeah,
that's
patience and be kind. Patience
fine.
and
So we have a golden retriever. His name is Lois.
okay,
We got him when he was 3 months old, but he's not a city dog at all. He thrives in
okay,
when we take him to Lanavla, Karjat. Like he was thriving in those quiet areas. But here he's a very anxious dog.
okay.
He hates fireworks, loud noises. Even if the lift bell dings, it gets him all riled
Mhm.
up. So what can we do to soothe him? I'm sure a lot of people have this question about, because a lot of people have anxious dogs.
Yeah. So, should I give you a frame way where everybody who is facing this issue can actually go and refer
Yes,
to this? Okay.
yes, please.
So, सबसे पहले find what motivates your dog. Find what motivates your dog to the core level. For some dogs, it can be a ball. For some dogs, it can be a tug toy. For some dogs, it can be even a plastic bottle. Find it, right? Once you find it, go to an environment which is comfortable usually for your dog. Now that you said, if you're out of your house, if you're out of the city limits, right, then your dog is a completely different demeanor dog, right?
Yes.
That's what perfect. So go towards those environments first. Teach your dog a new behavior, right? Teach your dog a new behavior in terms of what does the dog has to do if a trigger comes in picture. So I go for usually place command. Place command is a very nice way to teach your dog how to be around triggers. So what I do is I teach a dog place command in an environment where the dog finds comfortable, using what motivates the dog most, right? So I use it. I manipulate a behavior, I teach a behavior, I tell him that place command means what, how to associate it to a place command. Then I slowly, gradually start exposing him to triggers at a very far distance, right? So let's try to find out the basic triggers or the usual triggers of cities. The usual triggers of cities are motorbike, cars,
Cycles,
Swiggy delivery guys, Zomato guys,
even little children.
cycle. Yeah, anything that makes a sharp noise or irritation noise, they are just going to go for it. Your dog might. So you will have to figure out those small triggers, right? Introduce those triggers exactly during when you have given a duty to your dog to perform the task that you have taught him.
Okay.
So I will place my dog on a placemat in a place command, whereas the dog understands that placemat is a space where he can rest, be calm, be relaxed. No need to leave the placemat until I say so. So once
Okay.
he is performing a duty, the brain is already obviously a singularity mindset concept of dogs where they cannot have multiple concepts running in their brain at a simultaneous time. It's always one. So when the dog is performing something, the dog is engrossed in it, the dog is engaged in it. That is when you gradually introduce and reduce the distance of triggers every time giving a positive reinforcement.
Okay.
That's how you expose your dogs to a lot of small triggers first. And gradually, as you keep on doing it, you will learn that all the major triggers have also faded away. The main mistake that pet parents make or the trainers make is to teach the dog at the point of the trigger itself, in the space where the trigger is present. It never
Hmm.
works. It never works. You always need to tell your dog how you are going to gradually perceive the trigger,
Okay.
how you are going to understand the trigger as, right? See, reactivity has two concepts. Reactivity has two, you can say, either overexcitement or else nervousness, fear, confusion. There is no happy go lucky dog who is reactive, right? So either the dog is overstimulated or either the dog is fearful, confused, nervous. Figure that out. Basis on that, you can decide on how much gradual progress you can make in a day. If your dog is overstimulated, that means he is definitely having a demeanor of confidence. So you can proceed with the trigger part, the tree training part around triggers very prominently at a good pace. Whereas a confused dog or a nervous dog will definitely hold a place command, but it's going to take a lot number of days to reduce the distance. So again, gradual exposure, positive reinforcement is the only key. So find what motivates your dog, teach your dog another job, make your dog go in that job, introduce the triggers gradually, slowly using positive reinforcement.
I think so. I think that's what we're going to try
Yeah,
and try. But the one thing that gets to him is fireworks. So let's see. We'll
you
try
can,
our
you
level
can,
best.
definitely you can.
Okay. The other day, I kind of read that in the UK they have decided to put down those XL bully breeds.
Yeah.
I just want to know what do you feel about that? Are they just aggressive, or can you train them to be better dogs? Even those the bigger dogs, like the more aggressive, the Dobermans or the pit bulls. I just want to know your take on it because I
Okay.
just want to know. I just want to
See,
understand behavior.
right. So if you want, I can simply just connect this answer to those four parameters to check your puppy's temperament, right? So let's just point that out and let's just keep it out. I'll get that in the conversation itself. Okay. So again, coming to the breed part, there are certain breeds, we cannot deny that. There are certain breeds who require a higher amount of work, who require a higher grade of work, right? You cannot simply just go with obedience, sit, wait, down, stay for those breeds because those are breeds which are, those are not working line, but they have a huge muscle, right? They have huge muscle power to let it go, right? So you need to exercise those dogs. Now, there is no such thing as aggression specified to a specific breed. No, there is no such thing. But you also cannot deny the fact that those are the breeds that are actually having most number of cases of aggression. Now, why is that? That is because we are going to treat a pit bull or an XL bully as equal to